Gadikian. Is it correct? Like I don't remember if I say it right.
Actually, it's very nearly correct. And interestingly, we don't know the exact pronunciation of our own family name. The spelling was changed at Ellis Island. My great grandfather died pretty young. We think it's Gadikian, Armenia.
Armenia. Yeah. You look Armenian, I'd say.
Oh, thanks.
I know it's a silly thing to say.
It's
like
the nose, man. It's the nose.
Something is there that like you would say, right? Like I mean, it's easy to say. I look kind of Polish, I would say, right? Like, but and that's the same way I would say about you that you are Armenian. So I don't think anyone will be live here, but it doesn't matter because people will watch afterwards. And I'm chatting to Jacob because it's hard to find more versatile person within the Cosmos ecosystem. It's hard to find the person that tweet more than Jacob. It's hard to find the person that contributes in more projects in Cosmos ecosystem than Jacob. And this is why I want to start with the first most important question.
Sure.
For everyone engaged in Juno. Are you Pupmos?
Oh no, I'm not Pupmos. That's interesting. So no, I have suspicions, but I will not voice my suspicions. And I am not Pupmos. No, we're only Notional. But that's an interesting. I do wonder about Pupmos because also the people I have suspicions of being Pupmos, right? I don't think they're Pupmos either. Which then, raises the further question: who the hell is Pupmos? And do we say it Pupmos or Pupmos? I don't know.
Maybe Patmos, like would be I would say Pupmos because also my accent is not perfect, but I think we need to give more attention to Pupmos, whatever we say it. And I tell you, I was thinking you like when I saw at first I was ignoring it. I was like, oh, something silly. For a few weeks I was like, that's stupid. I don't like it. I don't like this typing. And then I thought it feels like Jacob kind of because Pupmos tweets so much that I felt like it could be you. And
not me. Yeah.
I don't know because such a highly engaged persona.
They are.
That's one thing. And after a while, I start thinking it's not a meme. I feel. Yeah, I was just because between the tweets you can see this person is not just making a meme. This person knows how to be a validator. This person is probably a developer because it gives you insights. And it doesn't seem that person is completely new to the ecosystem. So there was this few things that was like, I think people will be surprised when it comes out that, hey, it actually is something. And that's why I'm really excited about this.
So I'm expecting that it will be something, right? And I don't know what that may be, but it's it's an educated puppy, a good puppy.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I like the puppy for certain.
Did you delegate it to Pupmos?
I've not delegated to the puppy. No. Actually, my biggest recent move, delegation wise, is to Chandra Station on Juno. So I've begun doing something which is pretty unorthodox. If you look at our osmosis validator, you can see Notional actually delegates to Joe Abbey. And there's a reason for this. When we started to work on the APOC time issue in a pretty serious fashion, Joe began to produce these, you've probably seen those plots of APOC time that he's making.
I check them every day.
Nice.
So, I check if you are first, and every time I don't see you being the fastest, I feel like you failed.
Well, so actually, that's kind of true. That's how we're treating it. What we did recently, and I don't, look, this is a little silly. All right, what I'm about to tell you, but we've done it, and the hard drive is on its way. We've bought an Intel P5800X, which is it's a $4,500 hard drive, and we're gonna put osmosis on it. I guess the question is, right? This disk, every single thing I can find about it, it's the absolute fastest in the metrics that matter for running osmosis well. So we picked one up, and it's so expensive that I can't really say, oh, every validator should go out and do this, right?
Can you just tell me quickly, for those who not experienced, what exactly happens during the so for those who will be wondering, so osmosis, because I actually wanted to go to this subject. So osmosis distribute rewards once a day during the epoch time, and so that's what happens when the stakers and the liquidity providers receive their rewards. And what exactly happens during the epoch time?
Okay, so I mean, I believe that the key, there's two things, all right? First of all, staking rewards become available in an osmosis. That's all at once, but users claim staking rewards. Okay, so that's not what's leading to the sort of like violence of that block. When I say violence, what I mean is computational violence. Like it's just brutal on a computer. What actually happens during the APOC block is there's a call. I think it's unique to the osmosis version of the Cosmos SDK. Maybe it's in mainline. I'm not certain. Send from module to many. Okay. So what it's doing in osmosis, we have a module. I think it gets paid out of the incentives module, but it may be out of the GAM module. They're interlinked to some degree. And at that time, at APOC time every day, we call send from module to many, and every liquidity pool's rewards are paid out in that block. And that's why it's so intense. It's just basically because, well, I don't know how many osmosis accounts there are currently, but I suspect it's at least hundreds of thousands, maybe more. And, let's say we can break those accounts into a couple of groups, right? You have your regular users, maybe on a couple of pools. You have your power users, maybe on lots of pools. And you also have, I've got to assume that there are funds and the like on osmosis who maybe they have an account just to go into a certain pool, because you can also manage money with computer programs on osmosis. And every day at APOC time, those rewards are paid out. And because it's not user initiated, you think about it, like when you claim a staking reward, right? That's you doing that and then you getting paid for that. That also means that it happens at staggered times, right? So it's like a user claims, a user claims, user claims, user claims.
By the way, sorry to stop you. Is it okay because it looks like I'm not looking at you, but I'm looking at you? Is it okay with you?
It is okay. Yeah. We're good.
Okay, because I'm using the camera like so. But I'm looking at you. I don't want you to think that I'm looking somewhere else. I'm looking at you on my laptop.
That's interesting. So I'll tell you my setup right now. All right. So I've got you on a 42-inch OLED monitor.
Oh wow, a huge head.
Yeah. So it is. You're absolutely right. And I'm looking at you as well. And actually, this whole I suppose is a total side note, but video setups are actually very challenging. I've put a lot of work into mine, but I don't think it's quite there yet. Like I think the camera could be a lot clearer. And yeah.
I could help you a little bit with the camera setup because I decided to become the influencer of the Juno ecosystem recently. So like I have
Really?
lamp, I have because I was making these silly videos before and I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't treated very serious. I was doing very stupid thumbnails and stuff. It's very difficult to get people to talk to you when you are looking like this. So I decided, okay, I'm still having the same personality, but I'm gonna talk Juno
Mm-hmm.
Cosmos only, and it will be easier. So yeah, I got
Nice.
the better camera, right, and stuff, and you actually need few things that will be able to stream from the better camera, and I will tell you that after.
It
Mm.
would be interesting if we could get, so you know I'm looking at this in like very full HD, right? And it would be neat if we could actually make it so that the two sides of the video were kind of congruent. So yeah, after the call, I'd love to follow up with your
Yeah,
advice on a video
I'll
setup.
tell you that. So let's get
Nice.
to epochs.
Yeah. Okay. So it's send from module to many, and it's sending all of the liquidity provider rewards all at the same time. And that's why that block got so brutal. And this actually, though, this led to some brilliant engineering work. I want to publicly thank Roman, who I guess recently has joined the Osmosis team, for his work on the IAVL module, and Dave for guiding both actually Roman and myself to where these performance issues exist in the stack. So Dave wrote out this document describing the concept of a cache locality, which, okay, basically, you know, the further away from the CPU a piece of data is, right, the longer it's going to take to get. And then Dave, and I think the way this went, Dave designed it and Roman implemented it as a design that basically, where did I put this? It ensured, okay, so IAVL, that's how we store everything in a Cosmos chain, is a tree. And at present, it was necessary for the computer to walk the whole IAVL tree. So like, okay, is it here? Oh no, it's not here. Okay. Oh, is it here, here. And it ends up checking a whole lot of files in the file system. In the case of the Osmosis APOC, this is exactly where you get to the issue because those calls all went to the disk. I don't know if you remember. There was a video of me, and I was drunk, but I was coding, right, having a very good time.
There's
And
so many like things you record and talking. I like you always like with this. It looks like you have very uh high high brain rush sometimes and spilling the thoughts. No one knows if you
yeah,
drank or not. You know.
well, well, no, actually, you know, so I'm not very frequently drunk. But when I drink, it's pretty drinky, right? And I don't know. One day, I was playing with Terra because we relay for Terra, and there were some performance issues. And it's once again, Dave from Osmosis had mentioned some settings in the IAVL cache, and really got Terra going fast. Now, these changes that were just made to IAVL are actually much more substantial. I think that they're going to improve relaying. You mentioned, you know, that you want to kind of be the voice of Juno. Thank you so much for that, by the way, because like, you know, the communication for a blockchain community is just so vital. So I'll tilt this onto Juno for a second. Even this IAVL cache patch that Roman implemented, Dave designed, it's applicable all over Cosmos. So this is going to cause performance improvements in Juno, in OmniFlix, in Terra. And I think they're going to be very substantial too.
What it seems to me, no one cared for quite a few months, right? No one even was showing the epoch times, and it was lasting up to 40 minutes sometimes till the rewards were distributed. I remember it's much faster in recent weeks, and suddenly I start on Twitter popping out this epoch times, and some of them were like far away, and there is like suddenly the Notional pushing it, and Notional is recently, which like I want to say to everyone, Notional is the validator node that is run by the Jacob and your team, and recently Notional, the epoch time that is there, like it's below 60 seconds, which is like if everyone would update updated everything the way you did, we would have rewards distributed within few minutes, right? And before, no
Yeah.
one seemed to care, and suddenly you are pushing the other validators to make it better and faster. Like, why others were not doing this? Is it
Well, I think that, look, validation is a really interesting and complex business, right? So first of all, your primary duty is to make sure that the successive block gets signed. It's a very, very silly thing. Like once every 5 seconds, your computer, needs to sign the next block, right? So there's your primary job. Now, after that, you have additional tasks, and I think that everybody looks at the additional tasks of validating differently. I mentioned before I've taken to like recruiting validators into validator sets, and I mentioned Joe Abbey on Osmosis, but I also recruited Chandra Station into Juno. And the reason I brought Chandra Station into Juno is because for the longest time we've had a relationship. We're building the craft economy chain together, but furthermore, these guys are stellar marketers. So some validators will add value to the network by marketing the network. Other validators will add value to the network by writing code. Other validators add value to the network by providing block explorers. Ping Pub, I'll totally shell Ping for a second, who maybe Ping might have been the first time that we did this. And it wasn't much. I delegated to him on Akash. And the reason we did that, Ping Pub is writing, I think his Explorer is going to become competitive with like MintScan pretty soon. And that's a very big accomplishment. It's my understanding he is mostly a one-man band, and definitely should be singled out for talent. I've spoken with him just on a couple of occasions, and we delegated to him on Dig, and I also, like on a personal basis, I donated some Dig to him because I think that his contributions to the Cosmos ecosystem are nothing short of stellar. He's like creating interfaces to all of these chains when mostly the interfaces are kind of gate kept.
I think it's very important that you are talking about validators, because I see many people is quite confused who to delegate. So it's very good that you actually are shilling some of them. It can give the clarity to people. Like for example, that's how I get idea to distribute my tokens. I do it further and further. Like I probably like delegate to over like 20 validators, maybe more. I'm trying to ask people, and then like if someone tell me, oh, this is good validator, I'm doing this, right? Also, Jacob, you have very high fee for delegating to you, which is at 10% on all of the networks. And you just said that you bought the hard drive for 4,500, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And like I wonder like how the validators spend their money. Like for example, I can imagine, sorry if it's like asking for money, but like no one really want to talk about this. So you validate few different
please talk
networks.
about it.
I would imagine if we would get into US dollar value, you maybe make over million a year from the rewards. I it's the
Yeah, no,
how this money
that's correct.
gets spent, why the validators need to have the cut, why you need to have the cut of 10%. And it's absolutely okay if big chunk of this money you take to your pocket because you are good at the job. But I wonder how this money validators spend actually, and why it's worth to delegate to someone like Notional despite the high fee.
So, all right. First of all, that's also going to jump back to every validator is going to do it differently. And what you'll find with Notional is that only on very rare occasion do we ever spend it. So, like when you see a Notional validator on a network, you can assume the following: we've spoken to the team, we like the team, we've reviewed the code, and we like the project, right? Like we think that this is going to work out. And, you know, it's generally our goal just to get more and more invested in these networks. So we don't spend it or liquidate it. And maybe I'll give you a little bit more background into like what we're doing here at Notional. Because I just told you that the validators produce essentially zero liquid revenue. Now, first of all, numerically speaking, you are correct, sir. Okay. It does produce cash flow, and our decision for that cash flow is just put it right back into the validators. Okay. Oh, by the way, a metric that we like to use internally is the self-bonded stake. We're always looking to have high self-bonded stake across our fleet of now 20 validators, which is just delightful. And again, the reason is that like we really do think that, well, one, we want to jump in. So like what happened with myself and Osmosis, and when I say myself, I really mean myself. We're like about 10-ish people on the engineering team at this point at Notional. But in the beginning, it was me, right? And I became an Osmosis validator on a lark because I had a phone call with Sunny a few months before Osmosis launched, and I found that I was in the Genesis state. And so I'm like, all right, hell with it. You'll also find, I think I was literally the last one to put in a Genesis transaction on Osmosis. And I mean, I did this, I got the validator working. It was literally out of old apartment in Hanoi, and I had like doubling as an office at the time. And first of all, our uptime at first was terrible. Okay, like 85%, let's say. Reason is that our internet connection wasn't very good, so I fixed that, got that up above 99.9. And along the way of fixing that, like I ended up building this whole system that allows people to validate from homes or offices. And we're not doing that right now, which I feel actually really bad about, because I think that that's how you progress toward true decentralization, is just like, you know, screw the data center, have a tiny little redundant internet setup. Ours used to actually even use 4G. You can validate on 4G. And currently we're at Hetzner, and I'm happy to always strongly endorse their services. I mean, that's an amazing, amazing data center. But I'd like to bring stuff back to Vietnam pretty soon. The reason for that was COVID. The government policy here is basically, you know, if business has team members who've had COVID, well, screw your business is getting shut down. And there was a week around the beginning of this year, I didn't feel good, you know, and I didn't know I had it or not. I tested negative the whole time, right? But like, I had to say it Long ended up doing the entire migration, and I'm really super impressed with him. He's kind of like on the side of infrastructure, you know, my right hand dude. Hey, I don't feel good. I'm concerned that we could get shut down. I'm like at home in bed for like the second day. And could you migrate everything, just get it out of the office so that we don't go down? And he did. And so now we're at Hetzner, and that means some stuff, right? It means that we don't miss as many blocks. And it also means, though, that we're not building out the infrastructure and documentation for edge validation. And that's why I want to move stuff back to Vietnam. That hard drive's kind of part of the effort to move back.
Where's
here.
the stuff? I thought everything is in Vietnam.
It is? Yeah.
Because you say moving back to Vietnam, moving back stuff to Vietnam.
So we moved a validator has two critical pieces of like cryptographic information. Okay, one of them is very familiar to you. Give me a seed phrase that controls the account that you create the validator transaction from. And the second you may not be familiar with. It's the priv validator file, the validator's private key file, which is just Gabriel, you're right about that. I'll jump right into that in just a second, okay?
I'll keep the question on.
Yeah, that's a great idea. All right. In fact, let me just say, you have those two pieces of cryptographic information. If you move the priv validator file and you run another node with that priv validator file, you've moved the validator. So we moved only the machine. Well, not even the machine. We moved the nodes to Germany, right? And that's where they're making those signatures from. Let's see here. It's just as easy to take down that node, miss some blocks, and then move it back over. The identity of the validator is that priv validator file. Now, Gabriel, great question, and like let's just jump right into it.
Also, before you answer, like I was thinking, like, hey, if Notional would lower the fee to 5%, you could easily have twice as many tokens delegated to you. Like, so
we wonder about this internally and externally. So Gabriel and Dom, let me tell both of you guys, this is a question, on my mind, right? And the way that it worked out, and in general works out on most networks, is that frankly we spend a lot more than most, and the reason for that is specifically our relaying operations. And specifically, like, relaying is expensive from the perspective of fees. Okay, I'd say like $200-300 a day, maybe US dollars. But that all depends on whether or not you're relaying Terra, because it really it gets a bit consumptive, to say the least. But and by the way, our Terra relayer is sort of up and down, and it's actually for that reason. We don't have a Terra validator. So that's how our fee policy like started. And I'll go into this further. It's actually 9.69%, and the Juno fee was a mistake. That 10 is the default value, right, for a validator fee, and I made a mistake when I created our validator, and I've never corrected the mistake. So, in terms of the Notional brand and stuff, in general, we operate validators to have a 9.69% fee. I'll maybe give you some other examples, like cephalopod equipment. They charge 8.11%, are also heavily involved in relaying. And if we think about the market placement and stuff, and this is a very good question. I'm really glad that we're having this open conversation about it. Guys, relaying, even though the fees cost a lot, and it's definitely, it consumes a lot of capital, right? The cost of relaying should not be measured by those transaction fees because it would actually miss the really, really significant piece. The cost of relaying is deferring tasks by highly skilled individuals in order to relay. It's very time consuming. So just to give you guys some idea, other than me, because I still lead, if we were to look at sort of Notional's rapidly developing internal structure, the first young gentleman to join me, he is running software engineering generally inside Notional, and myself mainly infrastructure, and then also like engagements with new chains and things. But it's super awesome. Long has begun to do some of that as well. But like relaying, I assure you guys, I could run 20 validators. Just me, nobody else, right? And Long could too, and Zoo could too, okay? But the relaying, first of all, I've got to say our coverage is not currently what it should be. And we're working really hard on that. This is something that I think there's going to be kind of an initiative around. I think the chain registry as it is now is mainly a Sunny Argawal innovation. So what it is, it's a GitHub repository that you can read with computer programs so that you can spin up nodes for Cosmos chains. A relayer has to have a node for every single chain that they relay. So, okay, let's talk about structure, right? A validator, you can have one or many machines validate one or many chains, okay? And you only need one. But for each relay channel, let's talk just quickly like how the IBC network looks like, right? You have osmosis, and branching off of osmosis are all these other chains. And I've called this the sunflower pattern, okay? So it looks like a flower, and what we do currently is we'll create a machine and say, okay, this is going to service XYZ amount of capacity. When I say capacity, please think in terms of like transactions per second or transactions per block. We're not quite 2 transactions per second yet. Actually, we might be though. I just read a Cephalopod tweet said that we had hit 250,000 transactions in the past 24 hours, which is a really remarkable accomplishment for such a new network. And guys, that like IBC, the number of transactions is the most bullish chart in Cosmos. It is straight up and to the right. Now, how did this influence like what we charge? Well, if you go back in the history of our osmosis validator, basically we began relaying. We got a delegation from them, and I asked also the community as well, like, hey, we're relaying now. And early on, it was not many teams relaying. It was, I'd say, Notional. Crow's Nest was one of the earlier ones. Cephalopod deserves special credit. Okay, they were the first, and I understand that they did a lot of work with the Osmosis team directly to make sure.
Is the Ethan Bookman team, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yep.
I'm surprised he worked with Osmosis team so close. I don't know. It just.
Okay, check this out. Let me explain. Look, like about ecosystem drama and relationships, I've got to make something really, really clear that like at the end of the day, IBC is the glue that binds us, and informal systems and this is a play on words, and by the way, Notional it's also a play on words. Informal systems made a huge contribution to IBC, which is that they formally verified the IBC protocol. And this is a lot of what gave people the confidence to use it and know that it's safe. And by the way, like, one of the things that we as engineers are really striving to do, it's just very tremendous to me, in fact, is to have an environment where we can disagree with one another and work together at the same time. And I think we might have gotten there. Like, for example, you have the whole, Jake Wan doesn't want to see CosmWasm on the Cosmos Hub. It's very important to him that doesn't happen. I think I'm basically in the same boat with him, especially now that we have
Jake
Juno.
Wan, the founder of Cosmos. Just
yeah, that's correct. And to him, okay, a featureful Cosmos Hub can't service the network in the same way. To Sonny, I believe that's his take as well. And now there's a very, very large and serious debate over.
Can you sorry for so I see the teams are I feel like Jake Wan is quite close with Sunny, right?
I know that they talk. I know that they're friends, and but in terms of close, I mean, like, I don't think there's been, other than the fact that for many of us, including myself, like Jay taught us. I don't think that Jay is actively working on osmosis. I think all of his focus is really on GNO, which is, guys, like, GNO is, I believe it adds like novel features to the
I still don't
stack.
like. I know it's new language written, right? And it will be. I actually don't know what it does. It will be like fork of Cosmos somehow, or because there was something
is.
like. I think it was said like this early on, but yeah, Jake One is not very active. Actually, two days ago, I think he tweeted suddenly out of nowhere. I was like, well, a few months. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just looking forward to what this guy is gonna tweet, because, like, I mean, he created the most important piece of the blockchain infrastructure, I would say, in the last, let's call it 8 years. I don't know, since Bitcoin to me. I think people just don't see it yet.
Well, let's handle this like in reverse order. Okay, so let's say is Cosmos the most important thing since Bitcoin? I'm going to go with a very, very strong yes. And I think I shared with you on our previous interview, but maybe I'll share again. Like, I was heavily involved in Bitcoin. I love Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I helped to build out a Bitcoin mining operation in upstate New York, and very, very enthusiastic about Bitcoin, period, especially as hard money, and in ways that, frankly, I don't think Cosmos tokens are ever going to be money. I don't think that's what they are. Cosmos is heavily governance driven when you look at the code. And then, like, if we're going to say, Jay, well, I think it's Jay definitely. I mean, look, I was there with old Tendermint. What I mean with old Tendermint, there was a time when there was no Cosmos SDK, and that's actually when I stumbled on all this and the community, and I was really interested in decentralized blogging. And like, there's Jay, like, hey, here's how you might do it, and actually showing me how to use the code, because learning how to use a novel consensus mechanism like Tendermint it's no small lift, right? And his assistance in the old Slack, that for me made all the difference. But like, it has gotten so large. Christopher,
not sure if it's regarding Bitcoin or Cosmos or.
Well, I think he's talking about Cosmos, and Christopher. I would you permit me to go into detail on that? Because all right, let's first talk about what I think Bitcoin is. Okay, Bitcoin's the best money we have, which is not to say it's like the penultimate money, right? There could actually be better money at some point, but today I think Bitcoin is really like our monetary king. Better than dollars, better than gold. You know, get rid of your dollars, get rid of your gold, get some Bitcoin, but keep some gold because you know the future might be scary, right?
And it's nice as the jewelry.
That's true. That's true.
I completely don't understand people roasting gold. I think gold is amazing. It looks beautiful, yellow. You go to
Yeah.
Asia, like you in Vietnam, so you actually have the popularity of pure gold, because like in the West we don't really make the pure gold jewelry, but in Asia you have it, and it's just beautiful, right? Like gold is
Yeah.
important. I don't know why people roast on the gold. It's amazing.
Well, I mean, there is that whole like, there's a notion that asteroid mining may make it not
Yeah.
scarce, but let's dig into like Christopher. This is a really good question, and I'd like to give you my detailed view on like what I think Cosmos tokens are. Okay, and I in general I think that they're all the same. Well, there you go. Okay, so eat your dollars and keep your bitcoins. There you go. Anyhow, let's see here. So Bitcoin serves this monetary purpose, and also Bitcoin can move over Cosmos. It's one of the things that's so cool about this Nomic project that just kicked off, and also Axelar. Okay, they're both going to enable.
We talk about so many things like nomic. I was just compounding
For you,
before our chat.
I
Um,
I gotta validate that. I feel bad that I'm not. I like can only do so many things, but like it's really. I want to say to the audience that
so
I most certainly endorse that project and that
the
team. They're
nomic is
good.
the bridge bringing Bitcoin to Cosmos, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
I really like how they released that. They didn't give the heads up to the validators, and they did the airdrop, and so not only validators could benefit from the very high compounding rewards at the start, but everyone. And it's crazy, like API around 1000%, which like it was very beautiful community driven distribution, I would say.
I'll have to study the economics of that because you know one of the things I was talking about, you know, what we're growing into at Notional and that we have a software engineering team and we launch chains. So far that's been on like behalf of third parties. For example, DeFi for you, right there. They're a customer of ours, and they actually funded the Dig project, and we built Dig alongside them. But anyhow, I'll definitely study since you say it's beautiful the how that worked out. And the only reason that Notional is not validating actually is just like we didn't have time. And I consider it a shame because the way that they've built their chain is very impressive. But like, okay, what is a Cosmos SDK token? Well, it's the value of network governance, in my opinion. So like, are they valuable? Strong freaking hard yes. What determines their value? Well, that's going to be like a combination of the efforts of the original team that built the chain in question, and the community's action over time and governance. The economics of a Cosmos chain are flexible, actually. Like, you know, with Dig, we just increased the inflation rate. Now, I'll tell you why. It's sort of interesting. The reason that the governance proposal, you know, to increase the inflation rate came in is I made a mistake. When I started the Dig chain, okay, because you got to understand, like, you know, a Genesis, what can I say? I had nothing to do with the account formation of Dig's Genesis, but, you know, our partner Ricardo and I, we went through all of the settings in it. Ricardo had a list of settings that, you know, he talked to our customer about. I set the inflation too low. It was supposed to have higher inflation. So then the community, and this is the cool thing, right? the community said, hey, should the inflation be higher? And I said, yes, absolutely. That was an oversight. Can you fix it? And then somebody made a governance proposal that, adjusted the inflation to what the document said that it should be. So like, I think that the tokens are overall like they're, and we haven't gotten a taste of this, I think maybe only on osmosis, because I don't think the Cosmos Hub has used governance enough over time. But it's like the value of these tokens are really going to end up being derived from the chain's governance decisions over time. Christopher, you asked, so like, is it a utility token? I would say no. The reason I would say no, it's also driving consensus. So like, the stake weight on validators, for example, right? That's what determines the contents of the next block even. Once you get over that 66% threshold that's specified in consensus, well, that's your next block. But like, okay, how do you determine who's in the validator set? Well, at every single block, actually the composition of the validator set can change based on the variable that we typically like would refer to as vote power. But what it really means is, what is this particular validator's current percentage of the total delegated stake of the chain? And so like you have a total amount of delegated stake, right? And then the validator's consensus weight is actually determined by that. This is one of the miracles of Cosmos, okay? I want to like spend just a minute on this because it's so critical. Christopher, the reason I would say that these are not just utility tokens is that they're more like infrastructure tokens. But then their value over time is really going to be determined, I think, mainly by like, is this a really smart user community? Do they make the right decisions? Interesting dig fact, right? So like the ION was given away to people who participated in Cosmos Hub governance. Early on in the development of the chain, decided I wanted to airdrop dig to the ION community. And I want to be really clear as to why it was a recruitment effort. I wanted to get their minds engaged in the project because presumably holders of ION either are people who value governance participation or recognize the value of a token derived from governance participation, because people could buy and sell at them. What we ended up doing is we dropped on ION, or I said Atom, but I meant ION. We dropped on ION holders who did not have their IONs in the liquidity pool. So we felt like that was a good representation of people who understood the value of governance and driving a chain. And it's really interesting what has come out of that. Dig's like community management team, for example, sort of from my perspective, appeared out of nowhere. Now I've spoken with them, and actually they have like very, very clear and concrete reasons for like why Dig attracted them so much. Ash shared with me that he's in real life, he's involved in the real estate trade. And, so obviously a real estate chain, is just quite appealing to him. But so now there's a gov prompt for the chain, not Jacob, not Notional, not DeFi for you, but the chain to engage with Ash. Guys, this is, I think, a really big deal. Certainly, we're not the first to do it. Historically speaking, the first time this model can be seen as like BitShares. It's reasonable to give BitShares credit for sort of exploring this model where a chain's governance disperses payment to individuals. But the way that it's done in Cosmos is probably a bit more sophisticated than the way that it was done in BitShares. And it's like the way that I see it, even launching very high risk projects, like for example, Chihuahua chain. Well, interestingly, the little puppy's got governance. We don't know what kind of dog
I'm
Chihuahua
so annoyed
becomes.
with Chihuahua chain, like
Really? Okay, tell me about it. What's annoying about it?
because I still so November they were like about to launch, right? And they like delegate to us, and I didn't treat this serious, so I just took that 3 Juno delegated to them. So like I'm like, why did I do like because I didn't see what is gonna happen with the airdrops, and then it ended up that the airdrop was minimum 11 Juno. So I like with the compounding
Ouch.
rewards, I miss on like 20K, which is like okay, I don't like Chihuahua. Fact like it's like let's go with Poopmos. I'm not gonna promote Chihuahua.
So
It's
see,
only
like
one
so
thing
they're
why I'm
different
annoyed.
animals.
It's the only one reason I'm
So,
annoyed.
but this is interesting feedback. Okay, so I
No, but it was my own mistake. I should probably delegate like I don't know
no,
2050. I should think
actually,
of it. I should think of it more.
no.
So
You know, it probably should have been communicated better. And I want to speak from the perspective of somebody who does airdrops. So, like, I was not involved with the design of the Chihuahua chain airdrop, and actually, it's I was talking about our team member Long, who supports infrastructure efforts, and I guess as Chihuahua chain was launching, like Long did a bunch of stuff with their team, and that's just like so super. And what was my comment here? It's like this, okay? So getting an airdrop right is shockingly difficult. With Blurt, which Blurt airdropped on 1.4 million Steam accounts, really a very, very large airdrop. And hi, I should mention now. So we're talking about like descendants of Steam, right? And so there's at least Hive, Steam, and Blurt. Hive forked Steam, forked the chain. So one day there's a Steam, right, and then the next day there's a new chain off of it, following a new direction of blocks. And I have to say, like, very, very clearly and distinctly, I think the team did a fantastic job with the very challenging work of like, changing the direction of the block stream, shall we say. And with Blurt, what we did, and this may have been a first, actually. It was very quickly copied in Graphene, and in general, this is how the Cosmos airdrops are being done, although very different structure. So like we took block 43,526,969. Also, everybody, that's why the commission fee is what the commission fee is, because it was block 43,526,969. So I gave honor to that block height when I was setting Notional's commission fees. But anyway, at that block height, we took the entire like set of account balances of Steam and we dropped that into a JSON file that we called snapshot.json. Okay. And in the case of Blurt, our mistake was not pruning that at all. What we actually did is we reactivated a bunch of maybe not super great Steam accounts. We chose not to think about who was receiving it. Okay. That was a mistake, and that sort of influenced the design of that Regent account that I tweeted about when I was talking about Gravity Bridge. Anyhow, so like to get feedback from you that you didn't get enough information on a Chihuahua chain airdrop to to know about the threshold. That's really interesting to me because
I don't think
if
they
we look at
communicated it actually, but it's my mistake because I should, like I didn't treat Chihuahua serious. That's why I just did like 3 tokens to them. Like
nobody did.
I didn't
Nobody did.
really
I
really
didn't.
think much. So yeah, like I blame myself. I try to not be bitter with the airdrops because I saw actually people, especially with the recent Neta airdrop, many people were very bitter. There was like influencers, apparently the Cosmos influencers who were like very very angry that they didn't get Neta, and stuff like this. But it's like, hey, that happens. I missed on plenty airdrops because of my own stupidity, and people gonna miss. We gonna miss on many things. That's just what happens. So I missed on Chihuahua. It's like, okay, I'm my own mistake. And I think there is so many airdrops that you can't catch it all. You can try to game it because that's the greed, what the greed
Yeah.
is. And starting with Cosmos, so like like I think in simple terms, I want to view Cosmos as the foundation of everything also. And what's the value of the token? The fact that you are participating, I see it as the voting, right? So people think when they vote on the president of United States that they vote matter, but after election it seems they vote didn't matter, right? Because they have no influence on the decision. And you participating in the Cosmos network, for example, your vote kind of matter, and you are rewarded by this with other projects that built within this ecosystem or the other ecosystems, which is actually great because I see the voting on the chain as the one of the best things that ever happened. Like the same happened later with the Juno. I didn't know. I voted on every single proposal since the start, and I received 16.2 neta, right?
Congratulations.
And
Congratulations.
I didn't even knew I vote on that. The reason why I did this because I liked Juno so much at the start, and it was so fun to vote on that. Like that was it.
Hey,
I was like,
I want to ask you a question because I've only got a couple minutes left. First of all, I'd love to do this again or even possibly
yeah,
routinely. But then, second, I have a question for you. What attracted you to Juno? Because you just said I love Juno so
okay,
much that
this is
it
this is
just
my
makes me so
favorite
happy,
subject.
right?
This is my favorite
Hell
subject.
yeah!
Like too bad. Like we come again, maybe talk on about Juno, maybe also about the dig because you're very involved about dig. So
I'd love it.
that might be long. So I speak to my friends and I tell them why the Juno is the greatest smart contract platform. I don't care if the people will say Ethereum or not.
Hmm.
So, and there will be also questions to you, okay? Because so let's see Solana, very fast, very scalable, okay? What they did, they sold to the venture capitalists a lot. So
Pretty much, yeah.
so I think they might be the tokens of Solana could be considered security. I wonder what happens to the Solana when when people will decide to build the smart contract platform, which is marketplace where they sell guns. I mean, I mean, I
No, no, no. Hey, this is really good. This is
So
really good.
I understand it's blockchain, you can't do anything, but then the venture capitalists from Anderson Horowitz will go on CNBC and they're like, hey, on Solana, they built this new Silk Road where they sell guns and they sell drugs, how bad it is, right? You invested in this. You invested
Yeah,
in this.
yeah.
It's kind of, you can't do anything, but it's kind of doesn't look good. I don't know what Solana will do, and I believe they would find a way to censor it, right? So here is the Juno that actually was thinking how we never be considered anything, how we never be considered security. You can't stop Juno. It's Fugazi. It never was sold. It was airdropped. It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
It doesn't.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
nothing. You can say what like so that's the first beauty, and the same what osmosis did, and that's why I've and even Ethereum will bring controversies if people will build stuff like this, but the Juno, we don't exist. There's no company. What you talk about? So what I see Juno, which is bad and good, because there's many great platforms being built on Juno, but Juno, I feel it will also fill the gray zone gap.
Oh yeah.
So I think there will be the illegal stuff that is being done on Juno, and I will see some weed marketplaces, but gun marketplaces being built on Juno. I will see some weird DAOs built on Juno, and no one will be able to do anything except the community voting maybe to not list them on exchanges and stuff like this. So I like kind of this anarchist approach that it exists, so what? We can't do anything. So my question is, Solana says it's permissionless, and Juno says in permissionless. But I would have question also to you, like, what's with the permissionless if Solana, if these things will start happening, right? So the thing I'm bullish because Juno don't care. You will not be able to censor it because the institution doesn't exist. It doesn't. So this is the really beautiful thing that I start seeing recently. When you also tweeted that the Juno is like this kind of, I don't remember your tweet exactly, like this is this playground, like you completely permissionless.
Oh yeah.
So
Totally.
there will be people, shady people, who come and they will be like, let's play with it. And I think the best things always come out from like kind of experimentation and irony. And I think that's why Juno provides. So I don't care if it will not be valuable. I care that I'm excited about this because I think the crazy thing will start happening. Also, what I was thinking, right? Sorry for speaking so long, but let's go with the.
Please do. Yeah.
Let's go.
I love the user perspective. User perspective.
So because I spent a lot of time thinking actually, and I said to my, look, Juno is the greatest. I mean, I don't know. So people often wonder just about money, right? That's what people want in crypto. Let's not pretend. Many people, they want to buy and they want numbers go up.
Oh yeah.
So is in Ethereum chain, you saw it in the spring 2021, these small projects, which essentially shitcoins would raise the IDOs, and they would raise 500K, 1 million, 2 million. We know it's nothing. It's clear. If someone raise 500,000 or 1 million or 2 million, it's just pump and dump scheme, because you will not be able to make much with this money, having 10 people in the team, not having the possibilities to raise more. Then you spend your token on influencers to pump it, the projects dies, which is. And what happens with Juno, because they did the airdrop, I think it will prevail in the community. So the release of the tokens on the Juno network, most of the project will be doing the airdrops, because if someone will try to sell the projects, it will be viewed very badly. So then people would ask, but how you bring the airdrop to value to the airdrop? This is the best thing, because the community will purely decide what's good, what's bad. They will sell the bad airdrops, they will buy the good airdrops, and they will spend it on the good airdrops, which is the greatest. Because when you raise money, you don't have this objectivity, because you are told by influencers, hey, this is good, even if it's not good. But if you don't have that, if it's airdrop, it will be purely decided by the users, and that will drive value to the good projects. So you have
it also shrinks the size of the team you need.
Yes,
and airdrops can be executed by just an engineering team.
It will be
you need less business and marketing.
It will scale so great. So now you have these projects: Juno Mint, Juno Tool, whatever. The amount of shit.
I'm very excited about that tool.
And yes, it's blowing my mind. How good is this?
Yes, I know. And the smoothness of the interfaces have just blown my mind.
The amount of shitcoins that is going to be created using that.
Yeah.
Even there will be worthless cents.
Absolutely.
People will be selling, moving that to the good projects and stuff like this, and it could create this potential crazy speculation that you get these thousands of shitty airdrops. But what it will do, all of these airdrops, all of these airdrops, all of these shitcoins, and moving to the good projects, bringing the value to one project, to the Juno network only.
That's very true.
You will be like, what I will do with the shitty airdrops, I will sell it, I will buy Juno. The buy pressure, despite the 40% inflation.
That's so interesting about the intrinsic buy pressure. I never thought about that.
There will be very...
I've got to run.
Yeah.
But can can we like start here next time? Because this is
Yes.
fascinating.
Yes, I want to let's
Awesome.
start Solana permissionless versus Juno
Okay.
permissionless because I have
All right.
questions. Jacob, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I hope I will
Everybody who
be
asked a question, thanks to you as well.
yeah, like people can drop the questions. I will leave this on Twitter and the video will stay up. I need to remove some scammy comment, the last one. Someone tried to. Okay, thank you, Jacob. Enjoy the rest of your
Certainly.
day.
All right.
Thank you
Hey,
for your
thank you.
work.
Have a
Thank
good
you for
one.
your work. Bye bye.
Oh, and thank you for your work, dude. This was great. Can't wait to do it again.
Thanks.